Let us start this section on clinical anatomy. So clinical anatomy, the first one you have is a radial artery. So radial artery is mainly used for feeling the arterial pulse at wrist. So if you know, at the wrist mainly we use the brachial artery. So we can also use the radial artery to pulse the, to feel the pulse, especially the wrist. So the pulsation can be felt well in this situation because of presence of flat radius behind the artery. As the flat radius bone is behind this artery, you can easily catch it. It will not get slipped anyway because of presence of radius behind it. Next, coming to the median nerve. Okay, so median nerve mainly controls the coarse movements of hand, and it supplies most of long muscles of front of forearm. So in the front of forearm, that is flexor department is supplied by the median nerve, and therefore it is called labradus nerve because it's supplying most of the long muscles of front of arm, and also it in turn controls the coarse movements of your hand. So it is called labradus nerve. Okay. Next, when the median nerve is injured above the level of elbow, as might happen in the case of supracondylar fracture of humerus, so what will happen? So flexor pollicis longus and the lateral half of flexor digitorum profundus. So flexor pollicis longus means which is going to your thumb, right? And lateral half of flexor digitorum profundus, which are going to your fingers. All the remaining fingers are paralyzed. So not only thumb, even the fingers, our digits, flexor digitorum profundus is also paralyzed. Whenever the median nerve is injured above the wrist, means at the rate of supracondylar fracture. Okay. So the patient is unable to bend the terminal phalanx of thumb like this. So the patient is unable to do like this. Okay. And index finger also. See what they are saying? Phalanx of thumb, especially behind the terminal phalanx of thumb, and index finger when proximal phalanx is held firmly by clinician to eliminate the action of short flexors. So similarly, the terminal phalanx of middle finger can be tested. So actually, in the case of index finger also, this movement will not happen, and also for the ring finger, this movement will not happen. So for the middle finger also, this movement may not happen. So you can see here how we can test for pronatus of forearm. So like this you can test it, and here you can see the testing for anterior introitious nerve. Okay, we'll discuss it later. So the forearm is kept in supine position. Forearm is kept in supine position like this. Okay, due to paralysis of pronatus. So if the pronatus means what? You are able to do like this. If you're not able to do like this, means the forearm is kept in the supine position like this whenever there is any paralysis of the pronatus. And the hand is adducted due to paralysis of flexor carpi radialis. Okay, due to radialis, mainly flexor carpi radialis, hand is adducted. Adducted means this side, like this. Hand is adducted. Okay, due to paralysis of flexor carpi radialis, and flexion at wrist is weak. So if you say that person to do flexion at wrist, they feel somewhat pain and they feel it disturbed to do that because the flexion at wrist is weak. So all these are the conditions where when you have any supracondylar fracture of humerus. So whenever there is supracondylar fracture of humerus, what happens? Your thumb finger, no flexion, your index finger, no flexion, especially at terminal phalanx, and even your middle finger also no flexion, especially at your terminal phalanx, and only supination position. You can't pronate your hand because pronators are paralyzed, and also hand is adducted like this. Okay, and also you can't flex the wrist. So these are all the problems if the median nerve gets injured at the rate of the supracondylar fracture. Okay, so that's why median nerve is called labradus nerve. Why labradus nerve? You know, laborers do lot of work. To do lot of work, we need mainly hand, right? Especially these coarse movements are needed for all the work. So that's why it is called labradus nerve. Okay, there are also some other problems related to this median nerve at the rate of the supracondylar fracture, that is flexion at interphalangeal joint of index and middle fingers is lost, so that index and to a lesser extent the middle fingers tend to remain straight while making a fist. This is called pointing index finger and occurs due to paralysis of long flexors of digit. You can see here this is pointing index finger. Actually what they're saying is your Interphalangeal joint. Okay, interphalangeal joint means between the phalanges, the joint which you have, it is paralyzed, so you can't do like this. So if you want to make a fist, if anyone says to make a fist, you will do like this, because you can't make a fist with your index finger because it's supplied by median nerve and it's got paralyzed now. So only you make a fist like this, you can't fold it. So this is called as pointing index finger. Okay, next you have the ape thumb deformity is present due to paralysis of thenar eminence. So you know thenar muscles, this one. So because of this muscles paralysis, okay, there is ape thumb deformity. Let us see the diagram. So you can see here, this is the ape thumb deformity. You will make your hand like this. Always your thumb finger will be like this because the thenar muscles got paralysis. Okay, so that is called ape thumb deformity. Next, coming to the area of sensory loss corresponds to its distribution in hand. So there is also area of sensory loss, over which one will see by diagram. So you can see here, this is a sensory loss in median nerve paralysis, especially on this anterior surface, especially thumb side and half of your index finger, okay, not ring finger, and you can see here on the posterior side also you will lose the sensation over this index finger and ring finger upper, and also middle finger half part. Okay, so because this is all supplied by median nerve, so there will be sensory loss in these areas. Okay, next, coming to vasomotor and trophic changes, the skin on lateral 3.5 digits is warm and dry and scaly. So skin also becomes warm, dry, scaly, and the nails also get cracked easily. So there are very brittle nails. You can see here the nails are very brittle and get easily destroyed. Okay, next, coming to median nerve injury at the rate wrist. So till now we have seen what happens to the median nerve injury at the rate of supracondylar fracture. Okay, now that is at the humerus. Now we'll see what happens if median nerve is injured at the wrist. So this is a common occurrence and characterized by following signs. So median nerve control coarse movements of hand, and it's of is the eye of the hand, as it's a sensory to most of the hand. In all injuries of this nerve, at whatever level, the patient is unable to pick up a pin with thumb and index finger. In fact, inability to oppose the thumb is a chief disability of median nerve lesion at wrist. So at wrist, mainly what happens, you can't able to grip anything like this, you can't able to catch, especially by means of your thumb and the index finger, and also you can't oppose the things, you can't hold anything. And ape-like hand, paralysis of short muscles of thumb and unopposed action of extensor pollicis longus produces ape-like hand, and the thenar eminence is wasted and flattened. The thumb is adducted and laterally rotated so that first metacarpal lies in same plane as other metacarpals. Normally first metacarpal should not lie in same plane with other metacarpals. You can see it is somewhat different, but in the case of ape deformity it will become like this, so it will also be equal to the other metacarpal bones. Okay, and test for opponent's pollicis. Request the patient to touch the proximal phalanx of second to fifth digits with the tip of the thumb. So to find whether the opponent's pollicis is working or not. Actually, what is the function of opponent's pollicis? Opposition means like this. You are able to touch the tips of other fingers with your thumb, right, like this. So this one I'm able to do, means my median nerve is proper. So if the median nerve is proper, and one more thing, opponent's pollicis is proper. Median nerve supplies the opponent's pollicis. So if opponent's pollicis is paralyzed, then you can't do this. Okay. So next, coming to paralysis of first and second lumbricals, makes the index and middle fingers lag behind in slowly making a fist, leading to their partial clawing. So what is partial clawing? You can see here, this is partial claw hand, and lagging behind of mainly the index finger, right, and middle finger in making the fist due to paralysis of first and second lumbricals. So mainly your middle finger and the index finger, they are not able to make a fist like this. For example, if you ask that patient to make a fist, all these fingers will make, but they will lag behind like this. Okay, they'll completely make, but they will be like this. So this is called as claw hand. Okay, so claw hand is mainly due to paralysis of fist and first and second lumbricals of index and middle finger lag behind, slowly making a fish, leading to partial clawing. And the sensory loss, vasomotor and trophic changes are similar to that mainly seen in lesions of nerve at the rate of elbow. So sensory loss corresponds to distribution of median nerve in hand, as we have discussed before. So as already mentioned, the median nerve lesions are more disabling than ulnar nerve lesions. This is largely due to inability to oppose the thumb, so that gripping action of hand is totally lost. So if the ulnar nerve paralysis, okay, you will see some symptoms, but the median nerve paralysis is more dangerous when compared with ulnar nerve. Okay, now we'll come to the carpal tunnel syndrome. So what is this? Let us understand. Carpal tunnel syndrome is involvement of median nerve in carpal tunnel has become a very common entity. So mainly median nerve is present in carpal tunnel. Carpal tunnel means what? It's nothing but our flexor retinaculum, right? In that, you know, the median nerve is present. The median nerve is present above the flexor retinaculum, right? So any problem there, what happens? Let us see. The syndrome consists of motor, sensory, vasomotor, trophic symptoms in hand caused by compression of median nerve in carpal tunnel. So by chance, if the median nerve is compressed in carpal tunnel, then what happens? Examination reveals wasting of thenar muscles, again ape-like hand, hypoesthesia to light touch on palmar aspect of lateral 3.5 digits. However, skin over thenar eminence is not affected as branch of median nerve supplying it arises in the forearm. And what are the motor changes? So actually thenar muscle skin will be normal, but other parts skin will become dry, scaly, nails will become thin, and ape-like deformity, all this will be seen. What are motor changes? Ape-like thumb deformity, loss of opposition of thumb, index, middle fingers lag behind making fish due to paralysis of first, second lumbricals, and partial clawing, all this we discussed. And sensory changes, loss of sensations on lateral 3.5 digits including nail beds, distal phalanges on dorsum of hand. Mainly on dorsum of hand there is sensory loss. Okay. Vasomotor changes, skin areas with sensory loss warmer due to arteriolar dilation. It is also drier. So you know, whenever the arterioles dilate, more blood comes over there. As more blood comes over there, it becomes cooler. It loss is warmer. Loss is warmer. Okay, sensory loss is warmer due to arteriolar dilation. It's also drier due to absence of sweating due to loss of sympathetic supply. Trophic changes, long standing cases of paralysis lead to dry scaly skin. Nails crack easily with atrophy of pulp of fingers. It occurs also both in male and female between age of 25 and 70. They complain of intermittent attacks of pain in distribution of median nerve on one or both sides. The attacks frequently occur, especially at night. The pain may be referred proximally to forearm and arm. It is more common because of excessive working. Okay, and as a computer, on the computer, the Phelan's test. So is attempted. So Phelan's test is done for the patients who are working more on computers. Because of that also their median nerve get affected. Actually, acutely flexed wrist causes pain in carpal tunnel syndrome. So like this, the hand will become like this. Okay. So now let us check out the Dupuytren's contracture. Okay. So Dupuytren's contracture is due to inflammation involving the ulnar side of palmar aponeurosis. So there is thickening and contraction of aponeurosis. As a result, the proximal phalanx and the lateral middle phalanx become flexed. Okay, proximal and middle phalanx get flexed. Okay, especially lateral side cannot be straightened. You can see like this, they cannot be straightened. The terminal phalanx remains unaffected. The ring finger is most commonly involved. So ring finger is most commonly involved. You can see how it has got flexed like this. Okay, mainly like this, ring finger, this one, right, like this. So we can't able to straighten it. This is called Dupuytren's contracture. So paralysis of intrinsic muscles of hand produce claw hand. Okay, intrinsic muscles of hand paralysis cause claw hand, in which there is hyperextension at metacarpophalangeal joints. Okay, and flexion at interphalangeal joints. So interphalangeal joints flexion, metacarpophalangeal joints extensor. So like this, claw hand. Okay, and the effect is opposite to action of lumbricals and introtia. Next, testing the muscle. The dorsal introtia are tested by asking subject to spread out fingers against resistance. Okay, we'll check out this diagram. You can see here the testing first dorsal interosseous muscle of hand, like this. The testing the muscles, okay. The dorsal interossei are tested by asking subject to spread out fingers against resistance. Palmar interossei and adductor pulse is tested by placing a piece of paper between fingers, between thumb and index finger, and seeing how firmly it can be held. So we'll put the paper in between the thumb and index finger, and how they are able to hold it. We'll test it for adductor pollicis muscle, okay. So you can see different tests here. This is a complete claw hand. This is a test for palmar interossei, between two fingers we'll put the paper. For adductor pollicis we put between thumb and index, and this is a test for dorsal interossei muscle of hand, okay. Now we'll start with the ulnar nerve. So coming to ulnar nerve is also called as musician's nerve because it controls fine meters of fingers. So why ulnar nerve is called musician nerve? Because you use your fingers to play piano or guitar, like that. So that's why it is called musician nerve. So if there is any problem there, what happens? Let us see. Ulnar nerve is commonly injured at elbow behind medial epicondyle. So if you remember, on supracondylar lateral side you have our medial nerve getting injured. Whereas ulnar nerve always on the medial epicondyle or distal to elbow, as it passes between two head of flexor carpi ulnaris or cubital tunnel, or at wrist in front of flexor retinaculum, okay, or in the flexor retinaculum, carpal tunnel, anywhere it may get injured. So when the nerve is injured at elbow, the flexor carpi ulnaris and medial half of flexor digitorum profundus are paralyzed. Ulnaris and also profundus are paralyzed. Due to this, the medial border of forearm becomes flattened. So as the medial border will become flattened, and attempt to produce flexion at wrist. So let us see this diagram. This one you can see here, flattening of medial border like this of forearm, okay. So medial border is completely flattened, and attempt to produce flexion at wrist results in abduction of hand. So if you want to flex your wrist, then it will lead to abduction of hand. Abduction means like this. So if you want to do like this, but you will do like this, so that is the problem here. So the tendon of flexor carpi ulnaris does not tighten on making a fist. Flexion of terminal phalanges of the ring and little finger is lost, okay. Even the ring and little finger can't flex, okay, like this you can't flex them. And ulnar nerve controls fine movements of fingers through its extensor motor distribution to short muscles of hand. An ulnar nerve lesion at wrist produces ulnar claw hand. Ulnar claw hand is characterized by, you can see the diagram here to understand. So this one is called clawing of ring and little fingers. So especially if ring and little fingers claw, this is called as ulnar claw hand. Don't confuse ulnar claw hand with normal claw hand. You can see here clearly, normal claw hand every finger is flexed, but in ulnar claw hand only the two fingers, little finger and middle finger, will get flexed, okay. So hyperextension at metacarpophalangeal joints and flexion at interphalangeal joints, especially involving the ring and little finger more than the index and middle fingers. So little finger is held in extension by extensor muscles, and intermetacarpal spaces are hollowed out, okay, hollowed out due to wasting of interosseous muscle. Claw hand deformity is more obvious in wrist lesions as profundus muscle is spared. This causes marked flexion of terminal phalange. This is called action of paradox, okay. So we will check out all the other diagrams. You can see this is the course of ulnar nerve on medial side, okay, and these are the sites of ulnar nerve injury, either at wrist joint or either at cubital tunnel or behind medial epicondyle. And here you can see is the distal interphalangeal joints of ring and little fingers, and this is a little finger remains extended at terminal phalanx. You can test it like this. And here you can see sensory loss on palmar aspect and dorsal aspect. So in palmar aspect, if the ulnar nerve is damaged, then this side will be affected, and on dorsal aspect, this side. Of course, little finger and ring finger half, okay, especially ring finger medial side is affected, ring finger lateral side is spared. So finally we have come to the end of this, that is, the sensory loss is confined to medial 1/3 of palm and medial 1½ fingers, including nail beds we discussed just now. So vasomotor changes: skin areas with sensory loss warmer due to arterial dilation, and it drier due to absence of sweating due to loss of sympathetic supply. Trophic changes: long-standing cases of paralysis lead to dry, scaly skin, Nails crack easily with atrophy of pulp of fingers. Patient is unable to spread out fingers due to paralysis of dorsal interossea. Power of adduction of thumb, flexion of ring and little fingers lost. This should be noted. So completely due to paralysis, there is dorsal interossea also paralysis, and there is loss of adduction. So if you say them to do like this, they can't do. Okay. And in contrast, ulnar nerve lesions leave a relatively efficient hand. So ulnar nerve injury at wrist can be tested by Fromen's test. You can see this is the Fromen's test or book test, which tests adductor pollicis muscle when the patient is asked to grasp a book firmly between the thumb and other fingers of both hands. So here we are testing mainly thumb and other fingers. So we need to catch a paper like this, and of both hands, the terminates phalanx of thumb and paralysis sites become flattened, flexed, and interphalangeal joint by flexor pollicis longus, which is supplied by median nerve. So testing dorsal interossea is shown. Okay, testing of palmar interossea and of adductor is depicted. Okay, we solve this. So if both median and ulnar nerves are paralyzed, result is complete clawing. So if only ulnar nerve, only this little finger and ring finger affected. If complete claw hand, means all ulnar and median nerve both are affected. So by this we completed this chapter, that is the forearm and hand, very big chapter. Next we'll start with other chapter.